Good morning. It is 9/11. Happy Money Monday for those of you who have money. When most people think about retirement, they focus on the financial side of things. But one financial expert says that's really only half of the equation.
This is really interesting. Today we're welcoming back John Schwalbach with Freedom Financial Partners to talk about the emotional side of retirement along with the finances. It's nice to have you here.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me.
This is a good topic, a good conversation. I think just figuring out if you're ready for retirement. You know, when I talk to people who are around retirement age, it sounds like a lot of waffling. Like, I'm kind of thinking this, I'm kind of thinking that. How do people really know that they're ready?
Yeah, so when most people think about retirement, they do tend to think about money first, right? That's what comes to mind. But after having worked with, hundreds of retirees over the last 20 plus years, they need to not only think about the financial readiness side of retirement, which is the money side, but also the personal readiness side, which is the life side, because retirement can last, years, if not hopefully decades for most of us, and we want to make sure that we're retiring, to something really exciting.
Let's just quickly kind of hit on the financial part of it. Like, how do you help somebody figure out what's that magic number for you when you feel comfortable with retiring?
Yeah, so I think the good thing about the financial readiness side is it tends to be a math problem that we can by and large solve.
Sure.
So if you think about kind of the two sides of that equation, the first one is going to be the money in. Like, what are the sources of income during retirement? And it's going to be Social Security, a pension if we're lucky enough to have one. Investment income is certainly a part of that. And then we're going to have the money outside. Those are just all the expenses we have, all the lifestyle and fun stuff that we want to do. But it also includes things like healthcare costs and taxes. And so we're just making sure that the income, that we generate in retirement is enough to support the life that we want to live.
Yeah, and then you have to estimate, like, how long are we thinking we're going to live?
Right.
That's a tricky one.
It is, absolutely.
Very interesting. Okay, so then once you sort of have the finances figured out, the personal readiness part of it, and that can, I think, maybe people, they only retire once, so maybe they're sort of shocked by how they feel when they leave work.
Yeah, no, and I think the key question that we're trying to get people to think about early is, what am I actually retiring to, okay? Because there's the whole financial kind of transaction part of retirement, but then there's this life transition that also comes along with it. And I would say for couples, here's a news flash: you may not be on the same page, right, in terms of what you want your retirement to look like, because one person may be, very much looking forward to travel or maybe living in a different part of the country for a while. The other may be like, no, I want to spend more time with the kids and grandkids, or maybe with my volunteer causes. So you have to be ready financially, but also start to align, especially as a couple, on what you want to do together.
Well, and then how much time you're going to be spending at home. That's
Well, there's that too. You hear that all
no
the time.
joke.
When somebody retires and the other spouse is like, oh my God, this person's driving me crazy.
They're there all the time.
Go do something.
Right.
So you have a couple of 4 points that you want people to really consider when they start to look into this.
Yeah. So there's 4, I think, key areas of life that we tend to want to focus with people on before they retire. And the first one is going to be purpose, right? Just what gets you out of bed in the morning? How are you going to continue to contribute and mentor and serve others? And so going into retirement with an idea on that is really, really important. The second one is people, right? Just the people part. Who are you going to spend your time with? Because when we're working, oftentimes it is a lot of time with our coworkers. And so that sometimes, does go away, and we got to figure out who are, those people that are going to kind of replace some of that social life that we have as we're working. The third one is a health plan, because again, we can have all the best laid retirement plans in the world, but if we're not physically, mentally, emotionally healthy, it's hard to accomplish those things. And then the last one is just going to be personal growth. Like, what are the fun things that we want to do, the things we want to learn, the things that we want to explore, right? The things we want to create. And so having an idea on what those 4 parts of life start to look like, I think is really important to examine.
That's a very helpful framework to just kind of jot down some notes in each of those categories. What if somebody is already retired? They're watching, they're already retired, and they're maybe kind of figuring out like, oh boy, I feel like a little bit of a fish out of water. How do I get my groove back? Can they do this process?
100%. I mean, some of the most successful retirees that we work with, this is a process that goes through retirement, because retirement isn't just a destination, it's a journey, and again, hopefully a decades-long journey. And so people who continue to examine those 4 parts of life, they're going to continue to grow, connect with others, create things. It's a very fluid time of life, so I'd encourage people who are currently retired to keep expanding your horizons.
I like this. You say you shouldn't just simply retire from something, you should retire to something.
That's
Yes.
so
I don't think people usually think of it that way.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at retirement as just sort of just a destination, like, oh, I made it, right? And I think we need to reframe that mindset. Instead of, hey, the goal is just to get to retirement. It's actually much bigger than that. It's like, what kind of retirement do I actually want? What am I retiring to? That's the key question I think that people need to spend time
I've heard
answering.
people talking about, like Joe Schmidt talked about this, having like a reinvention.
Reinvention.
It was less about retirement and more about just a reinvention.
Yep.
I think that's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah. No, absolutely, because it's that time of life when we do have time to do some of these things that we've been putting off for so long. And it can be things, people think of, well, I'm going to get better at my hobbies. Maybe they want to play a lot of golf. But I'm here to tell you that doesn't take up enough time in retirement. So you got to think a little bit deeper than that,
Yeah.
and look at all those areas of life, because you definitely want to have fun during retirement, but you certainly want to do more than just that.
Yeah, I mean, cocktails on the golf course only gets you so
Yeah.
far. John, thank you so much.
John,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
If you'd like to work with John or learn more about Freedom Financial Partners, head to minnesotalive.com, and we'll put a link to their website right there.